Hello. I'm just trying to give everyone a smolder before the show. I know Hugo Millie's in the chat, so just quick smolder. You just hey, let's go. Welcome to the show, guys. Oh so curious show times DCU Daily. So, you know. Um, so we have a whole bunch of stuff today. We're gonna try to go real quickly. So we have a whole bunch of news. Wicked 2 changes its name. We got the Karate Kid Legends trailer today, as well as Disney pulling a rather, awkward storyline from one of their shows, as well as the Oscar shortlist for 10 of its categories. We're going to be discussing that. We got some quick hits. We got, certain actors joining Scream 7. We got Beyond the Spider-Verse landing directors, and apparently, the world's favorite Australian dog, I believe it's Australian, getting a movie. And, we're also, I'm going to be talking about Kraven the Hunter. Believe in the bulge. We're going to talk about Kraven the Hunter. Got to talk about a whole bunch of DCU stuff. James Gunn on yay or nay on the bulge, on the Trunks dynamic duo, Clayface, Matt Reeves, Bex, all that great stuff. And then, Captain America 4's new trailer. And then looking to next week for Mufasa the Lion King, the prequel/sequel to the live action Lion King, as well as the better animal driven movie Sonic the Hedgehog 3. But with all of that and more, let's get on to the show, guys. Oh my goodness. I'm joined by Liz. Liz, how you doing today?
I'm well. Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Are you going to smolder for us, Liz?
No, that's your job. That is your job.
I thought I'd ask. We're equal opportunists here, so we got to make sure that everyone gets a chance if they want to.
But why mess with perfection at this point,
All right, I don't know who the perfect person is because it sure as hell ain't me. But I got my I gotta keep that Superman stuff plugging along. So, but that's gonna be later. First, we got to get into other IPs. First things first, we got to talk about a little bit of Wicked, the big surprise of the year. Well, I don't know, surprise. Well, for some people it was a surprise. For some people it wasn't.
Annoyance, maybe.
Well, the movie. Let's not focus on the marketing.
Okay.
But
it's very hard not to when it's everywhere.
Let's not focus on the market. Let's just focus on the movie itself. We're just talking about the movie itself. And first things first, we're gonna want to talk about apparently the new title that it got, and and all. Doesn't seem to matter what
I do. Always number 2.
Mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding. You're kidding.
I can't open the envelope without
the... Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. And you're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the world needs now.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yes, news. I already fucked up the intro because I suck at hosting the Oh So Curious show. So, let's get right into it. Just fucking flash the goddamn page on the screen. Let's just go. Let's just get this shit over with before, I sweat through my goddamn jacket. All right, here we go. Wicked Part 2 got, a new title.
good, John. You're all right. You're
I'm not
all
all right. I'm embarrassed, and now it's on the internet
Nah,
forever. So
no.
here we are.
You're
Okay.
fine.
So whatever. So Wicked Part 2 now has landed a new title. Apparently they changed, the title, which I think it's a good thing, but obviously we'll get to opinions later. But first things first, they changed the title to Wicked for Good, which I
Yeah.
believe is named after one of the songs. I don't know the
Yes, it
entire
is
track,
one
but
of the songs.
it's
Yes,
one of the songs. That's what I thought.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of on the fence about it. I understand why, but
No,
I'm just curious. I'm just okay.
it's
Just
dumb.
what are your thoughts on the title
It
itself?
sounds like a charity. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like they're having a drive and they're gonna raise money for unfortunate children or something. Like, oh, it's Wicked for Good, like comedians against cancer or stand up to cancer. Like, that's what it sounds like to me. Like, I get that it's the title of the song. Okay, then let it be the song. We have part one. Let's have part like it's there. The fact that they're and I know Dan has brought up the fact that it helps ticket sales and all that kind of shit that
Right.
they didn't mention part one. Okay, that's fine. But now we know there's a part two coming. So just call it part two and shut up. Like I don't understand it. I think it's dumb as shit. It sounds really goofy to me, but whatever.
Okay.
Listen, I liked the first one. I'm gonna
Both
see
of
the
us
second one.
exactly.
There you
So
are.
my thoughts are, I'm just gonna say this.
Wickety whack. Thank you, Fiona. Exactly.
Yeah,
Wickety
Wicked
whack.
Part 2, Wickedy Whack, Electric
Wickety.
Green
That would
Woo.
even be better. Yes, that would be so much better. Wicked,
So
wickety whack, electric boogaloo. Let's do
okay,
it.
so here's the thing in my thoughts. I understand why they changed it because part twos, when it's specifically part one, part two, it almost never does well. Hence why they didn't have part one on the marketing of the first one. I understand that. So I'm like, okay, cool. Title change rarely does it work. It's usually, unless like very strict circumstances, it works, but usually a part two never works. I mean, look at Beyond the Spider-Verse, look at, chapter
Was so good.
2, all that stuff. But the title they chose,
right,
fucking stupid because it's
right,
awkward to say.
Right.
Like, call it.
Sounds like they're collecting donations. Like, I feel like I should be bringing a bag of clothes with me to the theater. It's fucking dumb.
Sounds like just name it like Wicked Defying Gravity. Like everybody knows the song.
Wicked, the Wickening.
Or
I just can't.
Or like Wicked the West. I don't know, but like I agree with you that it's a dumb title, but I understand why they changed it. I get that. I understand completely. So that's not like totally
the fact that anybody truly believes that any person who went and saw the first film is suddenly going to drop off and not see the second film after they're going to market it to death for another year that's the dumbest piece of logic I've ever followed in my life. That's ridiculous. This first movie made so much friggin' money. Adding part two to the second one is not going to keep butts from seats. It's just not. It's so goofy to me. Like, get over yourselves. It's so ridiculous.
So just like kind of first intro thing, we're already mad. We're just like, we're in the middle of this. We're already mad.
Again, the film I enjoy. Everything outside of the film itself is so annoying. They just can't help but annoy me at all times.
Yeah, it's like, as someone who had no expectations going in, and I still reasonably liked it. I don't think it's like the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I do think it's a good movie. But like I agree with changing the title because part two, it usually because I mean that's like a Mission Impossible, because originally they had, I don't think it was Across the Spider-Verse parts 1 and 2. I think it had a completely different title, and then they changed it to Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Because that it works. That works better. Like, rarely do like does a part 2. I think the Back to the Future movies are part 2 and part 3, if I remember correctly, rather than just 2 and 3. I know Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings was supposed to be part 1 and part 2, but they're like, part 1 and part 2s never like work at the box office, and they didn't even make the part 2 anyway. So I agree with changing the title from part 2 because it like alienates people a little bit, but it's just like For Good is just such a garbage title.
I mean, I understand it in the sense that if nobody saw the first movie and they see, oh, there's a part 2, then to them they're like, shit, now I'm obligated to see the first part. But at the same time, like, wouldn't you want to see the first part before you walk into the second part anyway? So I just can't follow the logic. I understand, again, not saying part 1. I understand, because people are like, great, that means I have my work cut out for me. But once you've seen it, wouldn't you want to finish the story? Wouldn't you want to see how it ends? Wouldn't you want to get to the part 2, especially if you enjoyed the first part so much? So the whole thing is just, I feel like it's just such a waste of time that everybody's going through this.
Because here's the thing, because then people are kind of turned off by it, like, oh, it's part 2, because it's like, it's one thing if it's a sequel, like, yeah, sure, it might be called part 2.
It's a continuation.
You know, like Godfather Part 2 is not like the second part of the Godfather. It's just Godfather, the second movie. So like I understand, but there is some level of alienation there of like, oh, it's part 2. It's like the second part of the same story. Well, I don't want to deal with that. I don't know. But here it's like also different because it's so popular, and it was the Glicked phenomenon. Wicked is so popular, so it's like, no pun intended. So I think there is. It's like I can see it, but yeah, it just, I don't think it's a great title, and it just, I don't know. I agree with you. It's just like, why are we still talking about this? Let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's not new. It's not new.
It's just
people being silly.
Yeah, and they're being silly billies.
Silly billies.
I love using that. Like, I know it's I know it doesn't make sense, but I love using silly billy. But yeah, it's, as I said, it's like it chapter 2, but at least with chapter 2, that's like one of the few like where it worked, but even that chapter 2 was not as well received as the first one, and I don't think it made as much money, but
yeah,
that's neither here nor there.
I will say, I think I'm also being biased because I'm not deterred by a part 1 or a part 2, like especially like I see a lot of Bollywood movies, and a lot of the time I didn't see the first one or what have, because they so rarely put them in theater. So a lot of the time I'm seeing part 2 and part 3. But when you go, they give you a small little recap to kind of catch you up in the beginning of the film. So like you're still technically not missing out on the story itself. So again, the whole thing, it's just goofy. Like we can just go around in circles about it, but let's move along.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are just getting their panties in a bunch over that when that's, you don't need to. But even then, we now have a dumber title for the movie, and we just got to live with that until maybe they change it again. I don't know.
I'm telling you, I'm bringing my canned goods with me to the theater because that's what they're asking for.
You know, but believe in the good, believe in the bulge, believe in everything. But now we're moving on to our next thing. Now we got to let's talk Karate Kid. And this was another thing similar to the 28 Years Later trailer. I don't remember if we talked about that or not. I didn't really expect it to, like, I expect like, okay, this might be pretty good. But like, as I was explaining to Liz backstage before we started, like, this was like a movie that like nobody was excited for, and now it feels like everybody's excited for it, because when it got first announced, like, oh, they're doing a Karate Kid movie, okay, is it going to connect to Cobra Kai? And initially it was announced it wasn't, so I'm like, okay, this is dumb. Then they announced that Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio are going to be in it, joining the two continuities, and they're like, oh, that sounds really fucking stupid. And then like every piece of news that came out, they're like, this sounds like the dumbest thing ever. And then once they revealed that Cobra Kai was going to be canon, they're like, okay, this might be okay. And the trailer came out, and then it blew everyone away, and now it looks like one of the most like highly anticipated of the year.
And just looking at Elite Easy E in the chat is asking if it's based on Cobra Kai. So there will be a Cobra Kai connection, but it's not one of those situations where people are going to have to stop and watch all 6 seasons of Cobra Kai before they see this film. So there is going to be a connection just to keep it in continuity, like John said, but you're not missing out if you haven't seen
Yeah, it's not like the
show.
MCU where you have to watch like 3 shows
Right.
and 2 movies to understand Multiverse of Madness. So
Lenny, you got to see the trailer. I cried. I swear to you, it's so great. I can't wait for it.
yeah. I mean, he was Mr. Miyagi to Jaden Smith, and now, he's, it's this new kid. Apparently, he was in that show, that Disney Plus show, American Born Chinese, I think it was. I heard. Well, we're gonna have to talk about the remake because it's canon now. But I heard a bunch of people talking about him in that show, and they're like, "Oh, he was really good in that show." I never seen it, so I don't know. But I'm excited because I am a huge lover of Cobra Kai. I love Ralph Macchio in that show.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan is, for lack of a better word, a legend.
I don't think
amazing.
But Ming-Na Wen will be in it. She's going to play his mother.
Legend.
I mean, she's just phenomenal. I've met her. I've met Ralph Macchio.
Go
as
off.
well.
You
So I'm
have
just,
the floor.
I'm telling you, don't stop this show. But after this show, go and watch the trailer on YouTube. It'll tug at your heartstrings. It looks really, really good. It does not look like that of the Hilary Swank or the Jaden Smith films. This one looks. It just follows all the classics, the Mr. Miyagi's that we're so used to. I think it's going to be something really special. So I'm really looking forward to it. And just the couple of sequences that you see, a couple of the fight moves in there, they've got some interesting choreography ahead for us. So it's going to be pretty great.
Yeah, it's it seems like it's gonna be.
Jackie Chan is elder elite Eazy-E. He's like in his 70s, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, I mean, I like how they don't hide that fact.
Like,
I like how they don't hide that fact. Like, he looks older, and I feel like
he's weathered and he's allowed to be.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think Jaden Smith is gonna be in this movie, but like, I don't mind that.
I don't see that happening.
Is he?
I mean,
is he even an actor anymore? Like, I don't even know.
I don't know that he classifies as a human being anymore, to be perfectly honest. I think he's on another
that's
level.
a fair point.
I mean,
although his Twitter was
truly.
definitely, that was something special. It was a sad day when he finally deleted his Twitter. But yeah, I this was just like, it feels like this was just set up to fail from the beginning, and now it just feels like, okay.
No, it looks so good.
Now
Antonio is saying he's having a hard time with Jackie Chan with gray hair, especially because they're supposed to do another Rush Hour. I think for this particular film, they want to give him the Miyagi vibes, so they're keeping the gray hair. I guarantee you, in Rush Hour, he'll probably, if not salt and pepper, he'll be black to his black hair. But you guys, genuinely, this is one of the best trailers I've seen in a really, really long time. I'm so
and I don't think they're gonna do Hilary Swank either, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, is she gonna be in Cobra Kai?" And I'm like, "No fucking way, they would never do that." And I don't think she's gonna be in the movie.
Though. She's all right.
I mean, she's great, but I think she's just kind of.
That movie wasn't terrible, to be fair. I probably watched that movie like 6 times.
I've never seen the only Karate Kid movies I've seen were the first 2.
No, you should see that one. It's not the worst for sure.
But I just think like Hilary Swank is just like too famous for this show. Like because all the guys in this show, all the older crowd are like,
that's all they're doing.
B and C listers, not even like Ralph Macchio is probably the most famous out of all of them, and that's just.
And he's been doing Hallmark movies lately. Yeah, the only thing he's got going for him is Hallmark and Cobra Kai. That's it.
And now it's like, well, now Jolomar Dueña is famous because he was fucking Blue Beetle, and then Peyton List is like reasonably like famous, but like not really, and none of the other. Tanner Buchanan's kind of getting up there, but most of them are like nobodies. So even they just have Cobra Kai to their name. And Hilary Swank is like, Oscar. Did she win an Oscar for $1 Million Baby?
She sure did. Yep,
okay, that's what I thought.
And then she went and ate at Jack in the Box with it. But anyway,
I mean,
go on to the next story.
I mean, Paul Giamatti ate In-N-Out after he won a Golden Globe for The Holdovers. So
why not?
You know what? Go for it.
Yeah.
It's called age. Happens to everybody. We all get old and die. Well, not everybody gets old and die, but again, the hope is you get old and die.
Kick y'all's asses.
Oh yeah, he could still kick your ass, but like, but man,
let's move along.
I think like what they're, I maybe this is a possible theory, just a quick thing before we move on. Maybe they're trying to like bring in 2 Oscars. Did she win for Boys Don't Cry?
She did.
Okay, I thought she did. I was like,
yeah,
I know Million Dollar Baby definitely, but Boys Don't Cry was the other one. I think with Jackie Chan, with him looking older, like more gray, like embracing his, older persona, like his actual age. I think they might be doing like Miyagi parallels, like Macho is with like Miyagi, like spiritually, maybe.
Just said that 5 minutes ago. Hurt my feelings.
What did you? Oh, okay. Oh, fuck me. I can't see. This is why I shouldn't host this stuff. Like, this is why I can't. Let's just move on.
All right. Next story.
Let's move on. Like, but yes, you're correct. I believe you. I agree with you. Yes. Thank you very much. That was what you said. I'm not original. I'm like Amy Schumer. I just rip people off now. I just rip people off.
Everybody's got to have a thing.
So the next story might bring in some fucking questionable comments, and this will probably get people canceled. But Disney apparently in their show Win or Lose, which I have literally not heard of until right now, apparently had a transgender storyline in this show, but then they pulled it at the last second and saying that we don't want to force like stuff that maybe parents don't want to talk about until they're comfortable with their children. I'm just going to let you have the floor on this one. You just give your thoughts.
Everything about this is stupid. Let's start from there. This isn't the first time that Disney/Pixar has had this issue. So why are you even writing the story? Like, I understand that these are important stories to tell. Absolutely. I understand that this is a very marginalized part of society. I completely understand all of that. But at the end of the day, you're making something specifically for a specific age group that parents are going to have a problem with. Again, we're even in this article, they reference the lesbian kiss in the Buzz Lightyear film with Chris Evans. They already know they're not going to quote unquote get away with this because it's too woke. How dare you expose my child to this storyline? How dare you force my children to ask me questions that are uncomfortable that I don't want to talk about? So why would you even fucking write a script about a storyline of that nature when every single time it either gets pulled or you get dragged in the media about it? So
right.
So stay away.
I don't know why you would even
write it in the future. Write it for Marvel projects. Write it for other adult type films. Don't write it for a kid's story. Again, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. But at the same time, the fact that people are surprised every time this issue comes up is absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know. Do what you got to do, but stop writing these stories then. If you want to have these characters, you include the characters, great. But the whole premise of this show is it follows a sports team, but then each individual episode focuses on one particular kid on the team. So their backstory, their family story, their traditions, what have you, whatever they have going on at school. So again, you can have the character there. Unfortunately, it has to be a background character. That's how we treat these people in society right now anyway. And leave it there. But the fact that they actually wrote a script and an entire episode based around a transgender student of a certain age, it's gonna be a fucking problem. And the fact that you're surprised that it's a fucking problem tells me you haven't been living in reality. So it's a shame. It's really a shame. I have absolutely no problem with it whatsoever. But again, for anybody to be surprised that this is a problem, read the news. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. It's ridiculous. It's goofy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this, and then I think we should move on fairly quickly before we all get canceled.
Yeah.
In terms of this, I'm just gonna say Degrassi did this shit like 20 fucking years ago. No problem. First off. Second, it's just like, I think it's just we're still in like this shaky part when it comes. It's just like, I feel like gay things are just like.
Well, I think again, it's the age group is the issue.
It is the age group. It is definitely the age group. I feel like, I don't want to say gay people are old news, but like, it's just like, it's like transgender is like, that's the big hot issue now. I use quotes issue because it's not an issue, but whatever. It's just, I understand where they're coming from, but it's just like, why, why talk about it? Because then you're just gonna still get hate anyway, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well,
But it's
like
either
I said,
do it
the fact that
or
they're
don't.
even
Like, don't
writing,
fucking say like, oh, we were gonna do it. Look how amazing we are, but we had to pull it because of the bigots.
right.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
But
just
that's a
don't
good point too.
advertise it at all. Don't say it.
Who knows if
Just either
they
do it
did
or
write it
don't.
at all, or they could just be saying it for publicity. That's a
But
really good
anyway,
point.
before we all, again, as I said,
Yeah.
before we all get canceled, let's move
Moving
on to
on.
the next thing. Let's talk about non-progressive things, the Oscars. Because they, because they're still stuck in their like 1950s sort of ways, but
Yeah.
they release shortlists for a bunch of more of the technical stuff, aka, well, quote unquote, the stuff nobody cares about,
Yeah.
according to many people who don't know how filming
Show
works.
that airs at noon. Yeah.
But it's just, it's I think it's documentary. I'm going to go through. I think it's documentary, feature and short, international, makeup and hairstyling, music, original score and original song, animated short film, live action short film, sound and visual effects. Those are the ones that, and a lot of really great like shortlist stuff. Like I noticed Joker Folie à Deux for sound. I hope that gets nominated just to see everyone lose their collective shit, because I just love some men just want to watch the world burn, and I'm one of them. Baby. Let's go. Let's watch that world burn. Anyway, but I mean, a lot of these movies are great for their respective categories. I think we have a lot of good stuff here. I think I'm mainly familiar with like what the stuff for like music and visual effects, and I can like give kind of stuff based on that. But what are your thoughts on all these shortlists? Do you agree with a lot of them? Is there any ones that are like, oh my god, I don't agree with this at all, or just curious?
No, I mean, nothing's really a surprise on there for me. Unfortunately, the Oscars is fairly predictable. And when you have all the other award shows that take place prior to the Oscars, you have a pretty good idea of how the Oscar ceremony is going to go, and how and who's going to get the awards at that point.
Right.
Case in point, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like, we knew that it was going to be that kind of show after all the other awards that it had gotten prior to that.
Of course.
Honestly,
Popular
what
stuff.
I would really like the Oscars to create its own streaming service, because I don't think it's fair to audiences that they're nominating films that are across different streaming platforms. I think that's really frustrating and really annoying for a lot of fans, me in particular, when I'm trying to figure out where I can watch everything. So when they release these lists, they should open up a streaming service, say, hey, pay us $20 and you can have everything right here and available for you, and then close it off after the show, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. So
yeah, because I know, I think both AMC and Regal do like, oh hey, look at all the
AMC
short
does, yeah.
films. I think Regal might do
AMC
it
does
too.
the shorts, and the films that were released theatrically, they'll re-release them prior to the award show. But like the things that were on Netflix, that kind of stuff, they won't show. So you still have to find a way, if you don't have access to those
Elite
various streaming
Easy,
services,
perfect.
to do that.
Love that, because hard agree on that one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it, but I mean, Dan, you could flash it up on the screen if you want. But yeah, I mean, the VFX were certainly interesting. I mean, I saw the 688 in there, I think, for best score, which was interesting.
Yeah.
They got to throw like a World War II period piece in there. So, oh my god, a period piece for World War II came out. We got to throw that in there. Music, sure, yeah, why not? But yeah, I mean, visual effects. You have like the Mufasa, the Lion King. I'm sorry, I just can't see it. I can't, like. It's just the fucking CGI looks fucking dog shit in that movie, or cat shit, I should say. But it just looks terrible. I don't get how everyone's like seeing. Maybe the effects, like the landscapes, are really good, but like they tried to like pivot to like, oh, we're gonna make it less realistic and more cartoony, but it just looks bad, and I don't get how. I mean, I could see it getting I can see it getting nominated but not winning. If I were to take a guess, like prediction, I would say Dune Part 2 is probably the most likely, because I think the first Dune won visual effects, if I remember
I believe
pretty
so.
sure.
Correct.
Give everything. Yeah, give everything to
Yeah,
Timothée Chalamet.
everything to Timothée.
Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2 gets everything. It gets all the awards, and then, you know, I think this is a good bunch of stuff. Like Amelia Perez.
I love
has
that
a lot of
Deadpool and
stuff.
Wolverine is on there. I don't think anybody was expecting that. Like, regardless of the fact that it's visual effects, but still, I don't think Oscar nomination and Deadpool and Wolverine in the same sentence was on anyone's bingo card. But I'm pumped for that. So good for them. They won't get it, but wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. But weren't people saying streaming films are not allowed to have Oscars a few years? Yeah, but things change.
Yeah.
At this point.
Because it's not really fair, because it's all dependent on studio and who picks it up and who end up, it's so I understand it to a point, but again, to my point, it's not accessible to everybody in that regard. So it is kind of frustrating when they nominate things that are only on streaming.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I don't think I don't think that really. Oh, is that what it is? I thought it was. Well, I mean, Mank got nominated, and that didn't play in theaters a couple years ago. So I don't know if that's true anymore. I mean, it might be. I don't think that got released in theaters though. But yeah, I think Good Bunch here has a lot of great stuff. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Like, I mean, I'm seeing like a lot of great movies on here. Well, except Baby Girl. I don't know about that. I don't get how that's getting like it's just, Nicole Kidman's in it. We have to give it like awards. Okay.
That movie looks so cringe. I can't.
It's just like, how do we make 50 Shades of Grey worse? Let's get the chick everybody hates now because AMC keeps playing godforsaken.
I literally was just in the theater today, and the woman behind me saw Nicole immediately on screen for that trailer and was like, "Get it, queen." So people are still very much behind Nicole. I myself am still very much behind Nicole.
I mean,
it's not her fault. AMC has been shoving us down our throat for 3 years. It's not her fault. She made.
I kind of hate Nicole Kidman for that, but that's beside the point. Let's get
check off of that one. I do not disparage her at all for it.
Anyway, but let's do some quick stuff. Let's talk about AI shit, because that's a controversial topic. So apparently YouTube announces a tool to help talent control their likenesses on video platform. What are your thoughts on this? Because I have no thoughts on this.
So I'm a little torn about it. I feel like so what they're saying is it's going, like, you'll be able to just type in a story and AI will make an animation from it or something.
Right.
On the one hand, I think it's a great tool for people with disabilities. On the other hand, I think it has to be regulated and policed very closely so that it's not stealing likenesses, artistic renderings, storylines from other people, so there's no plagiarism essentially. It's definitely a tool that can be great, but with all things, it can also be really, really shitty and fuck a lot of people over. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I think it's it's definitely an interesting. I think it's like helping control like people's likenesses, so it feels like a content ID kind of thing. So I don't know if it could work.
They are saying there was a way for like people to like volunteer for their likeness to be used. Right. So in that regard, again, if you're trying to get your face out there or something, it's good. But
whatever. But Anna Camp joined
early days.
Scream 7. I don't know who this chick is, and
she's from Pitch Perfect, yo.
I am not going to watch Scream 7, so, good for her. Like, I hope that this...
You can't stand the heat, get out of Kuwait. Or whatever the line was.
Oh, Pitch Perfect. Okay, I remember seeing that. But cool, I guess. Good for her. I know McKenna Grace is going to be in Scream 7.
I'm so pumped for McKenna Grace.
Which, like, I love McKenna Grace.
Like, honestly,
she deserves better, but, that's beside the point.
I hope she's the killer. That would be awesome.
That would be great. I feel like I'm waiting for a TED Talk. But yeah, so Anna Camp, moving on to the next thing. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse has directors. Hey, something. That's a development, because apparently they keep like doing the movie over and over again. So
I don't know what the problem is.
Like that they scrapped the movie, because there were reports that they scrapped the entire movie again, and then So are they like doing it now? Are they not? I don't know. I'm just happy that we have a development because it feels like everything in regards to this movie has been bad news. So this seems like good news, step in the right direction. I'm excited. Liz, what about you?
I don't understand it. I don't understand what the problems are. Like, just it's such a good franchise. It's been such a good. Those movies are so good. Who the hell wouldn't want to be a part of it? Is it just because it's overwhelming? It's stressful. It's anxiety inducing because there's so much going on. I don't understand it. Even the soundtracks are 10 out of 10. So
yeah, what's up, Danger?
I don't know. Thank you. Oh my God, so friggin' good.
Yeah.
I'm just happy. I hope these directors stay with it. I hope it gets released soon because I am waiting for another one. I absolutely adore these films. So we'll see what happens.
I think the main controversy was like back to back, like most part 1 and part 2s are, but there was just like so much controversy. Like Sony has just not been happy with it. They keep scrapping the movie, and then Lord and Miller were like, no, we didn't scrap the movie. And then there was a recent report that they did scrap the movie, and so okay.
Right. I feel like I should be handed a cocktail.
Yeah, feels like I'm in an elevator. But yeah, I think so. That's where that's. But this is a good development. I'm happy about this development. That's awesome.
Easy. They're saying love the first 2 Spider-Verse movies. Don't know if they had to make a third. The second one it ended on a cliffhanger, babe. Like, yeah,
what?
Yeah, we need a third one. We need to find out what happens to Miles. Hello, like, come on. I totally agree with this answer.
That could be an interesting twist.
That would be sick as hell. Well, apparently her daughter is going to be in the next one.
Yeah,
so I
think she has a couple kids.
It's going to be Sydney and Sydney's daughter in Scream 7. So maybe the daughter becomes Ghostface. This is going to be very interesting.
Why are you blaming Fiona? It's not Fiona's fault. Blame Dan. But yeah. Next thing we have.
This music is not fitting the vibe.
I don't think this is fitting the vibe. I feel like I'm playing Supermarket Simulator right now. But the last thing we have is Bluey is getting a big screen debut. Feature film in the works from Disney BBC Studios. America's sweetheart when it comes to animation. Everybody is loving Bluey.
Well,
I have not seen
it. I saw the headline and I was like, I also just saw a headline that one of the creators is leaving. So I was like, that's interesting timing. I'm wondering if they're leaving because of the film, if they didn't want it to be a film. Zach, that's great. So I don't know. I've heard nothing but good things about Bluey. All of my friends' kids love Bluey.
I've heard nothing but amazing things.
Yeah, the little snippets I've seen of it seem great. I don't know.
So honestly, the only thing I know about Bluey is that a lot of people love it, and there was an episode where there was an episode where there was a cup chair. That's the only thing I know about Bluey. So. But
there was an episode where the parents were hungover after a barbecue or something, or New Year's or something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, for all the people that are excited, Bluey is just one of those things where it's just beloved by many, and
I mean, it's gonna make so much fucking money.
It's gonna make bank, and
merch, the popcorn buckets. It's gonna make so.
As long as they don't look like the Deadpool and Wolverine popcorn buckets, they should be okay.
I think you'll be all right there.
Make a popcorn bucket out of the cuck chair. Anyway, okay.
Moving along.
Anyway, well, we don't want. Well, if we're going like this, Dan is gonna need the cuck chair anyway.
Oh my word!
But. Yeah, but if that is true about the creator leaving, it might be like a Steven Hillenburg situation where after he died, they started greenlighting all these spin-off projects that he kept them canceling and denying because
like I said, the timing is very interesting because I literally saw both headlines within 24 hours. So I'm like, okay, you can't tell me they're not related. But
so
anyway, good for them. They're going to make a shit ton of money.
Back, so.
I mean, I hope he's got royalties in his contract at least, or creative rights or something, so he
No,
can
I
still
know
make
Bluey's
the bank.
Australian.
But
Good, I was right about
yeah.
that. Bluey's Australian. Peppa Pig is British, right? That's what it is.
Yes. Why is
Okay.
BBC involved? Because Australia and the UK are the same. They have the same restaurants. They have the same culture. They watch shows.
Yeah, Australia to the UK is like the South to the North in America. They're like South UK. Everyone has weirder accents and everyone acts batshit.
No offense to our Aussie friends, but yeah.
I mean that as a compliment. But instead of biscuits and gravy, they have 9 feet tall tarantulas. Like that's
true.
So
That's
yeah,
fair.
so that is it for quick hits. Next we have next we are going to be talking about the newest edition, not the final edition, of the Sonyverse, Spider-Man villain Sonyverse, Spider-Man anyway, Kraven the Hunter. Are we craving the Hunter? Well, I'm craving the Hunter. I mean, I know Lizz is definitely craving the Hunter. Unfortunately, I would like show off abs, but I don't have abs. I have one big belly, and that's it. So we're going to be talking about Kraven the Hunter. Liz is going to be seeing it tomorrow. I already saw it, so I'll be the one heading the conversation. But Kraven the Hunter...
You and I talked about this. Well, you and I talked about this backstage, and you said you felt exactly how I thought it was going to go. You said it was entertaining, nothing exciting, nothing to write home about, but it's decent enough to get you in the theater and get you excited.
Oh, well, I don't know about the theater, but like I would say, it's okay. Okay, so I'm going to say this is a perfect streaming movie because it's not great. It's not worth like the $10 to $20 that you got to pay for, but it's a good streaming movie. Okay. A lot of elites in the chat today. Elite EZ, Dark Elite. Anyway, are you all brothers? Speaking of brothers, but yeah, I thought Kraven the Hunter was a decent movie. Like, I would say it's top 3 Sonyverse movies instead of bottom 3. I mean, it's better than Madam Web, but it's not as good as Venom 3 in terms of the ones that have come out.
I don't think it's as good as Venom 3. Venom 3 wasn't even that great. Ugh.
I thought Venom 3 was pretty good. Like, I thought it had a lot of good in it, and it did a lot of good stuff. But yeah, Crave. God, Lenny, you fucking horn dog. Anyway, also, yeah, we don't see this until the end, by the way. Spoiler alert. We don't see the
that's really bad CGI.
It is, but it was never in the movie, so you don't have to worry about that.
Excellent.
So anyway, I thought this was overall, it's just like a fun movie. It's ridiculous. It has like a lot of typical Sonyverse crap where it feels like a movie that was made 20 years too late. It feels like a 2000s comic book movie. Has the same level of CGI at times. But I will say the CGI for the most part was not that bad. Like,
do overall, the animals look better in this than Gladiator 2 or upcoming Mufasa?
Yes. I will say, I know people are gonna fucking yell at me, but I do think the rhino in this movie looks better than both of those movies combined.
See, there you are.
I know people are gonna shut up for like, really, and I'm like, yeah, but yeah, the dude is like trying so fucking hard despite the shit script. Like, it's a pretty garbage.
He's a good actor,
but I would say he's a great actor. Hopefully, he can redeem himself with 28 years later next year. But he was really good here. He like tried his best. His accent is fucking all over the place. What they tried to do is like, oh, he has a Russian father. I think both parents were Russian, but they lived in London, so that's why he doesn't have like a super thick Russian accent.
But remember, I had said that a couple weeks ago. I was like, it sounds like his accent is just as good as Russell Crowe's.
Yeah, Russell Crowe. We'll get to that in a second. Accent. Russell Crowe was his wolf.
So at least they're on the same level. So it sounds relatable.
But yeah, it's like mostly English, but like once in a while he has like a Russian like slip up, like he's like actually Russian and he's like slipping his real accent in there and is trying to. It's just like it's very weird. But even ignoring that, I think he did a good job. I think the action sequences were very good.
There's
And
no way it's worse than Madam Web. There's nothing worse than Madam Web.
no,
Like,
definitely not worse than
genuinely,
Madam Web.
there's nothing worse than Madam Web.
I don't. Although to be fair, I don't think Madam Web is the worst of the Sonyverse movies. But that's
What do you think
beside the
is the
point.
worst then? Not that
Let
we're
There
gonna
Be
spend all day
Carnage
on
was
it.
worse, most
Okay.
definitely.
All right.
But I think I think Aaron Taylor Johnson was Russell Crowe was good despite his fucking god awful accent. Like he was good. He was. I mean, it's Russell Crowe. I mean, he is a great fucking actor. So you know, he does have a great threatening aura about him. It's like the typical cliche of like the disapproving father figure type of thing. But he did do a good job, honestly. Although speaking of Gladiator 2, Fred Hetchinger is in this movie. I thought he did a better job here than in Gladiator 2. Not gonna lie.
All right.
It just well, it's a very different performance, but like here, it's just like the way and I mean we talked about this with Gladiator 2 is like Hetchinger was okay, but the fact that the people surrounding him were so immensely talented that his performance looked worse than it actually was. So here he's stuck in a shitty Sonyverse movie. So like it doesn't yes, because Quicksilver is at least was consistent. This was not very consistent.
He's so hot. I didn't notice the accent in either one. So it's
that's fair.
All good.
But I do think that what was I talking about? I don't know what I was talking about. Damn it.
We were talking accents.
Fred Hetchinger. That was Fred Hetchinger. Like he was like he's kind of stuck in a crappy movie, so it's like like he was more like frightened little brother character, so it wasn't it's very different, but even then he did like a better job here in like being surrounded by not as many like immensely talented actors, even though Russell Crowe and Aaron Taylor Johnson are great, but it just like the way it just worked better here. And when I will say towards the end, spoiler alert, when he does officially become the chameleon, he was actually kind of menacing, not gonna lie. Like he did give like a good menacing like edge to him. But I thought the action sequences were definitely the best part of the movie. Nice. They were all like once in a blue moon, they did have that late 2010s editing where they didn't film it correctly, so they just like hack it into pieces in the editing room, and so you can't tell what's going on. Once in a blue moon you have that, and it's not too much, so most of the action sequences were good. I thought Christopher Abbott as the Foreigner was awesome, although a friend of mine gave like a really good point that he's entirely useless. Like you could take him out of the movie and it would be the same movie. So I'm like, that's fair, but I still thought he was good here because I do like Abbott as an actor, and I will say that's one of the few things that's like getting me to see Wolfman next month. So there is that, but like the Foreigner has like a really cool power set, and I really liked that. The CGI, as I said, for the most part was not bad. I thought the chick who played Calypso was like okay, but it's like she's nothing like her comic book counterpart. So you could have just made an original character and it would have been like the same thing. You do get a couple of those obvious ADR moments and some obvious green screen, which was not great. Yeah. The cinematography, though, very beautiful. Surprisingly, there's like a lot of like really good some lighting issues, but the cinematography for the most part was like actually like
it looks really in the trailers beautiful. It looks great. Yeah,
like there's this scene, so there's like this elongated flashback sequence where it has Levi Miller as young Craven, and like where he like goes off and does his own thing, like he needs to get away from his father, all that shit, and like he's like starts beating the shit out of poachers, and like it's just this like big wide shot where it's it's not a grain field, but it has like tall like yellow grass and like the sky, and has like the horizon, and you just see him from like far away from just beating his ass, but it's just like it looks so like beautiful to look at. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of memorable. I really liked that. But yeah, for the most part, I would give like, if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it like a 6.5. Like it's not great, but it's like not bad. Like some of the editing and the pacing was kind of off.
Well, and again, if the writing were better, would it have been a better film? Because you're saying the action was good, cinematography was decent. I mean, they've got good actors in there. I think it boils down to the script.
Yeah, I think.
But I
because
also
J.C.
think,
Shandor is a good director. I believe he was an Oscar-nominated
but I also
writer.
think the issue with
but
this, with like Madam Web, people
It's also
are
too long.
also well, people are also aren't going to see these films because they've never heard of these characters before. I think if they had found a way to somehow integrate them into some other Marvel projects to kind of give people an introduction
Lenny, I
to
would say
them,
see it on
then they would
streaming.
give a
It's a
shit.
fun time. I would say
Right,
get drunk, get high, watch it. It's a fun time.
But again, if they were kind of in some other Marvel product, like productions, to give people kind of an intro to these characters,
Right.
maybe they would have more of an interest and would want to flock to the theater to see these things. But unfortunately, we get what we get. We don't get upset.
For me, and by the way, before we move on to DCU Daily, if I were to rate the Sonyverse movies so far, because they do plan to come back, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's going to end," but we did talk about it on the show where it's just for now. They just don't have any releases set for 2025.
Right.
So they are going to come out with more. It's just like they got to redo a lot of stuff. They're like, "Oh, let's actually have Spider-Man in these movies." So like, because that makes sense, right? But if I were to go from worst to best, I would say Venom: Let There Be Carnage is the worst because it was disappointing and they completely fucked Carnage, and Woody Harrelson was so wasted, and it wasn't even like funny bad. It was just kind of bland and bad, and not. It's just like a lot. The entire movie felt like a waste because you have Andy Serkis directing, who is surprisingly a good director.
He's great.
He's doing the Gollum trilogy. There's that, and you have Woody Harrelson, and Tom Hardy's always great. And I forget the other actress in that. Was it? I don't think it was Naomi Harris. That might have been it, but like all of them are like, yes, Naomi Harris. She was Shriek. A lot of these are great actors, but they were all just kind of wasted and like meh. Then Madam Web, it's bad, but I enjoyed myself because of it's ironically a bad, like a good movie. It's
honestly,
just like funny bad.
It was okay until the very end, honestly.
It's just like villain getting killed by Pepsi sign. That's just like
right. And those hideous fucking glasses and that ridiculous wheelchair they put her in. I don't understand what the thinking was on either of those.
Because they tried to make her look like the comic book character, but
the comic book character has those god awful glasses. Oh my god.
No,
shame.
But like I think in some iterations she does, but for the most part, she just has like a red blindfold. So
I would much rather the blindfold. Jesus Christ.
But then I would say Morbius. Morbius is just so funny to me. And plus you have Matt Smith. You have Jared Leto.
Morbius was hot though. It was all right.
Morbius, it was just like so ridiculous and so funny. And then again, you have like all this talent, and it's just like, what is this?
That's fair.
So it was funny. And then Craven, then Venom 3, then Venom 1. Venom is that's Venom 1, 3, and Craven are the closest. Well, I would say Venom 3 and Craven are close to being very good movies. And I would say the first Venom is genuinely a good movie. Like I would say it's not amazing, but it's a good, fun movie. And I think they had a lot of fun with that. It's just, yeah, they actually have to be good. Who would have thunk? But yeah, overall, I would say Craven, wait till streaming. If you want to watch it, get a little drunk, get a little high, get a little bit of both.
Big screen,
if
baby.
You're of age,
I'm seeing it in Dolby, actually. I'm seeing it in Dolby, yes.
If you're of age, remember, drink and smoke responsibly, ladies and gents.
And spay and neuter your pets.
Yes, thanks, Bob Barker. But I think, believe in the good. Believe in the for good. Believe in the for good. But yeah, Craven, I thought it was a fun time, not amazing, but I'm a little bit of an apologist for these movies. Just they're just so fun and dumb and ridiculous. Yeah, I'm still waiting for that El Muerto movie with Bad Bunny. Come on, guys. Let's fucking go.
Again, talk about Bullet Train. Bad Bunny is so good in Bullet Train, gang, honestly.
Yeah, for all 3 seconds of that movie.
Listen, and then again, the soundtrack for Bullet Train is also phenomenal. So if you haven't seen that movie yet, highly recommend it. So go watch, after this, go watch the new Karate Kid trailer and then go watch Bullet Train.
Yes.
You're welcome.
So yeah, thank you for watching Movie of the Week. Remember, keep liking, guys. You got to keep liking. We're going to be annoying about it. So there's 11 likes and 24 of you watching. So like more. comment, subscribe, and we shall move on to what the people want to see. Get rid of this Marvel shit. Let's go on to DCU Daily. Let's go. So so now we're going to be talking about the Trunks, Dan's favorite topic, and unfortunately he can't join us, but we're going to be talking about Trunks. We're going to be talking about Clayface. We got to rapid fire this shit because it's a lot. But yeah, believe in the bulge. But first things first, James Gunn was talking about Trunks, the Trunks, and there was like a brief moment where they considered no Trunks, but it was like kind of like just a overall kind of process of like yay and nay. It wasn't like, oh, I'm not gonna fucking do it at all. This is kind of misconstrued a bit because in the actual quote, he said, well, we were kind of costume testing a bunch of them, which featured Trunks and no Trunks. He was like initially, but during the process, he was like Trunks and no Trunks. So, but it wasn't until like David Corenswet was like, well, let's think about this for a second. Let's think about like what this guy is and what he means to people, good old Soups. He was saying like, well, I'm this all-powerful, like god-like character. I have all this power. I'm this very powerful sort of like I'm this all-powerful guy, and that can be threatening. I mean, we saw with the Zack Snyder iteration, he is threatening, he is scary, he is hated. So he's like, okay, let's find a way to make it work in this iteration. And he's like, well, maybe I wear this silly costume, maybe not because I like it, maybe I do, but because to show like kids that I'm not like a threat to them. So I wear like this bright blue and bright red and wear my underoos on the outside to show that I'm not this threat. And I think a YouTuber actually shared the same ideology, which I kind of agree with, where we were testing. He's like, and he says here we were testing all these things, and we're like, David Carson was like, well, I'm this big threat. Let's make me not as big of a threat by giving me the Trunks, giving me this all blue suit and like these bright colors to show that I'm welcoming, especially to kids, but maybe to other people as well. So I think that this was most definitely showcasing why David Corenswet, I feel like just as days go on, it feels like he's the perfect like along with his predecessors, he's the perfect guy for the job. So with all that information, sorry, I kind of filibustered, Liz. I didn't mean to cut you out.
No,
but what are your kind of thoughts on that idea of James Gunn being no Trunks, but then costume testing with no Trunks and Trunks, and then David Corenswet being like, okay, this is the reason why, and James Gunn's like, oh, that I love that. I clicked with that. Let's go with that.
Yeah, it's I mean, the whole thing is very nice, but quite frankly, I don't care either way, because you're either there's no Trunks or it's just straight spandex. So Dan's getting a bulge one way or the other, and I know the man's going to be happy about it. So it really doesn't matter to me one way or the, because again, we've had Henry Cavill without the Trunks, we've had Christopher Reeves with the Trunks. So I could care one way or the other. Superman's always going to be my favorite superhero. So I'm happy with him in any iteration, in any costume.
Yeah, I think I prefer the Trunks. It's just on the fact of the matter of like it just separates everything. It just like with all the it's just when there's no Trunks, it's just too much blue. And I like the idea of like showcasing that he's not as much of a threat to the kids, and like I really like that. It's very
we had
nice.
Adam West in Trunks, like it's not unheard of to for other characters to have them, so it's all good to me.
Yeah, and Adam West is the best Batman, so like it works. Yeah, I think like Superman, it works for Superman. I don't think it's terrible for someone like Batman. Well, obviously, Wonder Woman needs the trunks or she's going bottomless. So that would be a little awkward. That's for the porn parody. But in terms of like other characters, it can work, it can't work. It's a little bit of both. But I think Superman really needs them. I think it works for him. And I really like it. I love the image of all them reading the comics. I love that so much. But yeah, I like how James Gunn was like, you know what? I didn't like the trunks, but I'm like, no, let's do the trunks. Let's do. I'm trying my best, Larry David. Let's do the trunks, guys. Let's do the trunks. But yeah, I think it's nice, sweet, and very cute that that was like on David's mind and kind of adding to the whole thing of like every person he's ever worked with is like, oh yeah, that guy's Superman. Oh yeah, that makes sense because he acts like Superman every time I worked with him, which was just really awesome. So yeah, I really love that. I know it's something, you know, as James Gunn saying here, it's like frivolous, but you know what? It's like I think the main thing I liked about here is not like the trunks or no trunks debate. It's the fact that like David Cornswet had a lot of input on that character, which I think a lot of people are forgetting with actors. Right. Yes, it's easy to make fun of actors because they make all this money for playing dress up and pretend. I get that. It's very easy to make fun of actors. But there's also the idea of like letting your actor actually have something about the character that they're playing. I understand because directors can be they can be crazy. They can be a very, you know, controlling bunch because I mean they control the set. Maybe we can hope, but like, you know, I'm
going to be hopeful about that for sure.
I mean, Snyder cultists will still complain because it's like, oh, it's under Gunn, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think but yeah, with David Cornswet, I think the baseline is, yeah, I'm playing this iconic character. Hey, James Gunn, this is what I have to say, and then being that influence that you're like, okay, let's do the trunks, let's do this iconic part of this costume, and doing that much, and you know that's pretty awesome because the thing I always bring up when it comes to not listening to your actors is with Rian Johnson for Last Jedi for not listening to the guy who played the fucker for like 30 years. It's like, oh, don't listen to Mark Hamill on what to do with Luke Skywalker. No, let's not do that because that makes total sense. But actors having that positive input, especially for an IP like this, I love that. And James Gunn getting influence, which adds to the fact what he was saying before. I don't surround myself with yes men, ironically speaking of Star Wars, because George Lucas did just that on the prequels. So he's like, I'm surround myself with people that can tell me no. And I respect that. I appreciate that. So that adds into that as well. So, you know, I like this. I know it's, again, a silly debate to have. It's fun. And in the end, it doesn't really matter. But the main takeaway was David Cornswet, like having the input on the character. And that's what really matters to me personally. So, you know, but moving on to bigger and better things, not the bulge, but we will be talking about, you know, we have a little bit, some more Superman stuff, a little bit more, you know, oh God, is he bringing the, oh, Dan, are you bringing the bulge again? What are you doing, man? But yeah, apparently the Superman trailer, there was apparently leaks about the trailer itself, which is like, we're living in this day and age, guys. Even trailers are getting like leaked details. I haven't read a bit, and we're not going to say anything here because it's probably, you know, grain of salt shit, probably not true. But, you know, it got leaked. We're not going to be saying anything because we're not assholes. So it got leaked, guys, but it doesn't matter because we're getting the fucking thing in 2 days anyway. So you can like
6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Woohoo!
So 9 a.m. over here.
Right.
So yeah, because fuck those Californians. Anyway, I mean, do they even exist? Like, come on. But yeah, it got leaked. Don't really care. Anyway, we're getting it 2 days, so maybe it got confirmed, maybe it doesn't. We'll see, but it's not like it really matters. But yeah, next up is talking about So here, and it does have an official countdown. Like, okay, like it's a trailer. It's gonna be a 90-second trailer. All right. 33 hours, 24 hours plus 9. So
Hooray.
Cool, I guess. Y'all need to calm down. Like, and I'm the guy wearing the Superman shirt. Like, come on. And it's a teaser trailer. It's not even
exactly. All this hype for a teaser trailer. I mean, just wait until the trailer drops. Then
wait until the actual fucking movie comes out.
Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Oh yeah. Yes. So we have a little bit on Dynamic Duo, and we have some on Clayface.
Hooray.
Now it seems like the rumors with Clayface are starting to come true. Sorry about that. It's almost midnight here. I'm tie. Anyway, so Dynamic Duo did get an official release, because initially it was only like 2028. I think it said spring. But now it has an official release date, and that is June 30th, 2028, which technically isn't spring anymore, but that's beside the point. It's like right on the cusp of summer. But yeah, so Dynamic Duo is officially going to be coming out on June 30th, 2028, which means that there is definitely a script. And because that's the big thing, we got to get a script done now. It's unknown if it's actually gonna be taking place in the DCU, because they did confirm that Clayface is going to be DCU. They did, like James Gunn said, the newest project in the DCU, which means that Alan Tudyk is going to be heading this movie. So we will be getting that. So in terms of Clayface, I believe it was July. I don't think for an untitled movie, I don't think that's the one for Clayface. But yeah, I think so yeah, that's it for Dynamic Duo, but it's mainly Clayface. Clayface is, it seems as though that it definitely has some good aspects, definitely has some bad aspects, but I'm hopeful for it. It's got Mike Flanagan behind it, well, at least in a writing stance. I know that there has been a lot of rumors about Clayface, but Clayface will be, coming out. I believe it said fall 2026. I think it was September 11th, 2026, which awkward, correct. But it's so yes, Friday, correct, Lenny. Now, we don't know if Dynamic Duo is DCU or Elseworlds. I can imagine it's probably Elseworlds if I were to guess, because of like the very experimental like filmmaking. So I feel like that's going to be the way to go. Yes, September 11th. So, right. So according to there are some rumors. There's official stuff, and then there's rumors. So first, the actual, official stuff is that, well, official, but like it's more than official. It's the budget is most likely going to be around the $40 million mark. It's gonna take place in the DCU, as I mentioned, and the character won't be painted as a villain like many of these villain-based movies. And Mike Flanagan loves the Clayface episodes in Batman the Animated Series. So that's all set. That's all done and good. So that's really exciting. But I have a feeling he's also inspired by the Rebirth comics, because that was when they went full hero with this iteration of Clayface, which I really liked. They did a lot of good Clayface stuff in the Detective Comics by James Tynion IV. So I think that is definitely a good place to go, and that's like kind of like recently with the character. But yeah, I think that's a good budget because, you know, it's supposed to be a horror tragedy, which is usually horror films are not very big budgeted. And then on top of the fact, you know, it's um well, yeah, Craven was under 200 million. That was 110 million. So, you know, and because you know, I understand like the CGI, it has people work, but again, if you have good CGI that you take time on, then it'll be good. Like, look at like Troll Hunters, that are not Troll Hunters, just Troll Hunter. That was like made for like fucking like $15 million, and the CGI in that movie still looks amazing to this day. And that was like 10, 15 years ago. So, you know, as long as you have good people working on it, you let your VFX artists go on bathroom breaks. And as long as you know, actually like work hard on it and don't just crank it out by assembly line, you should be good. You should be okay with that. So, yeah, I think this Clayface movie, I know a lot of people are iffy on it, and that's fair. Um, but I think, yeah, 120. Well, that was meant for streaming, and it still looked good. But yeah, I think, you know, Clayface will be a fun time. I know there's some iffiness because it kind of brings up the Sonyverse debate where it's like these villains that nobody knows about are getting their own movie, so it's like, but also James Gunn might be directing it, according to Jeff Snyder. I call bullshit, but what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't, because he's very passionate about all these projects, but
I don't think so, and I hope not, honestly.
Okay. Why is that?
Because James Gunn, I feel as though it just wouldn't fit for a Mike Flanagan written Clayface movie. Like, I understand, like, he's worked on horror movies. Like, he worked on Slither, and he worked on another one, but I'm forgetting what the name of it. I mean, he worked for Trauma, and that was like, you know, the bargain bin disgusting crap fest of that.
No, hey, that's fair. That's okay. Yeah.
He did get a start in like a horror like company, and it could maybe work, but like Slither wasn't like a scary movie. That was a horror comedy. So something as serious as this, I mean, yeah, I said that he directed Slither. Very good movie. It's very fun. But like, this is something that's like really, really serious. Like, Superman's one thing. Yeah, I mean, if he can still be like kind of jokey and funny and lighthearted, this is something, especially with Mike Flanagan writing, this seems like it's gonna be like a very like serious like tragedy. Like, that's what it's described as. So
yeah,
I
they're saying it's gonna
can't
be a
see
thriller. Yeah.
James Gunn directing that. Like, honestly, if he's not too heartbroken after Lost Kingdom, I would say get James Wan on this because he's a good horror director. So, and I feel like that works. Or, you know, I think people were recommending like Guillermo del Toro or Sam Raimi, getting one of those guys. That would be, yeah, he is over at Universal, but like, you know, whatever. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing names out. But yeah, honestly, whoever they do decide to get, I think they would be good. I don't think this is true. And Guillermo del Toro can do whatever the fuck he wants. He could fucking do it with 40 million. All right. I don't know how much his Frankenstein movie is going to be, but like, he can make it work. But it's Del Toro. He can, you know, he's awesome. But yeah, I don't think this is true. I mean, Jeff Snyder is right about a lot of things. I just don't think he's right about this one. I think like, if they can't find a director in time, I can see James Gunn. He's like, all right, I guess I'll do it. But I feel like Robert Eggers would never fucking do a comic book movie in a billion fucking years. He has said many times, I'm not going to be doing anything past like the 20s. Like, he says, he's like, I'm never going to do a modern day film. So, ew, no, not Elizabeth Banks. Get the fuck. Yeah, the chick who fucking directed Pitch Perfect 3 and the shitty Charlie's Angels reboot. Yeah, let's get her to do it.
I mean, it wasn't the worst. But
I mean, yeah, but it failed.
What are you gonna do? Anyway,
but yeah, I don't think this is true, but that's beside the point. But yeah, this is the timeline of all the greenlit films. So far, we're getting Superman next year, Supergirl, Clayface, and the Batman, all in 2026. Nothing for 2027 just yet, but Dynamic Duo in 2028, which is on the fence if that will be a DCU project. So we have 3 confirmed DCU projects for the future, ignoring Creature Commandos because that's already happening. And then you have the Becks, the next movie in the Becks, and then Dynamic Duo.
Part 2. OMG, part 2, it says. Holy shit.
Well, that's
get
not
that part 2 off of the title. Oh my fucking God. Right.
Well, the Batman part 2 is not the second half of the Batman. It's its own
Just saying.
movie.
Apparently we can't have it. So dumb.
Anyway. The Batman, this time I'm Vengeance. I don't know. But Dynamic Duo, we're not sure about Dynamic Duo where that will take place.
For good.
But yeah, I think this is definitely a good timeline. Excited for all of these. Ew, John Campea. So you know, I'm stoked for all these. I know so there is the rumor that Matt Reeves is going to be producing Clayface and he's going to be doing everything Batman related and might be getting a promotion. So that's definitely interesting. I don't know if we're listening, but well, I mean, we can't hear anything, Dan. So I don't know if we're supposed to be listening to this or not. But but yeah, so I mean, that kind of makes sense because I mean, Batman Cape Crusader is produced by Matt Reeves. Dynamic Duo is produced by Matt Reeves, or is gonna be. And so it makes sense that he's handling the Batman stuff in the DCU and outside of the DCU. Because I mean, James Gunn did say he was gonna work on one of the spin-offs in the DCU, but then that fell through. But it seems like he's doing everything Batman related. So that's exciting. Do you think that's a good idea, or do you think that's like, no, that's not gonna work?
I don't have an opinion, to be perfectly honest.
Okay, cool. Moving on. Because I don't really care. Like, yeah. I mean, it's cool. Like, I don't think one guy should be doing all Batman stuff, but I mean, if it's just producing,
I would agree, yeah.
But like, it could be. I think he should just stay in his lane, stay in Beck's, the Batman epic crime saga. But that's just my opinion. But anyway, guys, like, comment, and survive. Guys, 13 likes. Come on, let's pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket. But subscribe, click the notification bell, and keep commenting. We'll try to, Lenny being like, Lenny is Marvel till she dies. Yes, we know. It's a sad existence. Anyway, but now we're gonna be talking about Captain America 4. Cool. I'm just waiting here until Liz comes back because I think she's having a coughing fit or something, because I don't give a flying fuck about Captain America 4, in all honesty. It looks like shit. We've gotten nothing but terrible rumors about the constant reshoots, but Haley Atwell has a fucking abusive relationship with this goddamn company. So great. Is she gonna be fucking playing Captain Carter again? Because they have like this obsession with fucking Captain Carter. It's just like, Liz, you're the Marvel chick. What's your thoughts on this?
I love Agent Carter. I'm glad she's coming back. I can't wait to see her. I love her. I miss her. Haley's amazing. I met her. She's a wonderful person. She's a wonderful actress. Unfortunately, she dated Tom Cruise for 5 minutes, but we're not going to hold that against her.
Allegedly.
And as far as the Captain America trailer, why the fuck wasn't that the one that was released first? Because that one actually has me excited and looking forward to seeing the movie now. It just took them 6 goddamn months to get me pumped for it. But hey, I'm all in. And again, and they're saying, because of course she's going to reprise her role as Agent Carter, everyone's assuming that Chris Evans is coming back as Captain America for that, because heaven forbid he does anything else. But I'm also not mad at it. I've met him as well. Wonderful man. So I'm all in. I'm all in. Now this story with Tim Blake Nelson, I think is really, really cool. He didn't want, the dots. He didn't want the CGI special effects. He said, I want to actually feel like the character. I want to live in the character. So he was like, give me all the prosthetics. It's pretty sweet. Okay. Yeah, I don't care.
I agree with that. I will say that was the one like exciting thing is like, well, okay, cool. We're actually getting like a real, and this confirms that he's still in the movie, maybe. So, because we don't know if that's the case or not, but wasn't that like kind of Hancock a little bit? Anyway, but yeah, this is cool. Like, I appreciate that because that's what it was gonna be for Green Goblin, but then they didn't do that, and then we got discount Power Ranger villain. But Tim Blake Nelson, he is a based boy, and I appreciate the fact that he wanted to go practical. And I mean, I still won't watch the movie, but that's cool. Like, I appreciate that. That's very appreciative. And the trailer looked, fine. I'm sorry. Like, I can't, with all the behind the scenes, like, problematic stuff. I just can't, even if I was,
fine.
I've boycotted Marvel at this point, but like, even if I wasn't, like, maybe I'll give this, it's just like this, I just can't, like, it's just, there's just too much like baggage in regards to what's happened. I feel bad because it's like, this is Anthony Mackie's first Captain America movie, and like, it has a good cast, it has some decent ideas. I understand that they're trying to like have the vibe of Winter Soldier, of like the political thriller, and like that kind of vibe. I appreciate that. It's just like it seems like it's a very confused, and they have like 100 different cuts of this movie, and they keep changing it, and it's just,
and the fact that they're already giving him like a sidekick, I think is kind of shitty too. Like, let the man have his own movie, but they gotta. I think they're trying to, I don't know, hedge their bets on that one. They're trying to, maybe it's an insurance policy, give the audiences somebody else to be excited about. I don't know, but I like this trailer a hell of a lot more than the one that we've been seeing for the past 6 months.
I mean, it was definitely better.
That's pretty much as far as I'm going with that. Again, you all know I'm going to see it. I'm hoping I enjoy it, but I don't have crazy high expectations.
Yeah.
Do I think it'll be better than Craven? Maybe. I hope so. But we'll see.
But yeah, I think if I were to take a guess, I think Fantastic Four, it's up in the air if that'll do well. I think this will be the failure of 2025 for Marvel, and then Thunderbolts will be like kind of the secret, not secret, but like that'll be the hit. Like, that'll be the thing that nobody expected.
Yeah, I recently talked to my buddy who has been Marvel ride or die with me literally our whole lives. I've known this man since the 2nd grade. And I was like, yo, Thunderbolts. And he was like, Thunderbolt. Like, he's pumped about it. So the Marvel stands are looking forward to some new stuff, to some new stories, to some new characters. So I'll see Captain America. I'm hoping for good things, but Thunderbolts.
I don't know. I mean, the leader doesn't really. I mean, his head looks normal, and it looks like he has a
you
full head of
never
hair.
see him in
But
any
it
of the trailers.
could be a flashback. It could be a flashback.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you never see him in any of the trailers, but I would assume that that's him. It's certainly not Giancarlo.
It's not Giancarlo. It's not the new Falcon. I forget his name. The Hispanic guy. I don't think that's him either. And too much hair for Anthony Mackie, and I don't think it's
no, I
Harrison
think it
Ford
is
either.
Yeah, I think it is Blake Nelson. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think it's cool that we're finally getting the leader. What is it? 16 years after he appeared. Nice, I guess. And it's just funny that we're getting like Hulk characters in Captain America 4. We're getting Betty Ross, we're getting Thunderbolt Ross, and we're getting the leader. It's like, okay, we get it, Marvel. You don't want to share rights with Universal, but like, give us a fucking Hulk movie, you fucking cowards. But
I mean, truly.
Anyway. But yeah, I mean, and I do want to address, like, I don't hate Haley Atwell. Love Haley Atwell. She's great. Her coming back, it's like, that's cool.
No, but
like,
you're right. They keep screwing her over, and it's really not fair.
Yeah, it's just like they had her in Winter Soldier in the old woman makeup, and she's like, okay, I'm done. and then they canceled her show. Then they had her cut in half, and then they have like the whole what if thing, and it's just like it's just I feel bad, but it's like, as I said, it's like the abusive relationship thing, but it's like, you got that Marvel money, might as well get that Marvel money.
I mean, and
But
again,
I
she's
think
now a part of the Mission Impossible franchise, so she can do whatever the heck she
I
wants.
think, well, for one more movie, and then it's over.
Okay.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Dead Reckoning did underperform, so there is that, but we'll see. But with Haley Atwell, I love Haley Atwell. Why she needs like something? She's so talented, and she needs a real break. The
She's a
Tomb
bad
Raider
bitch,
still looks
man.
like
Yeah.
shit. Like the Captain Carter stuff is just not that great, and Mission Impossible is allegedly ending, so who the fuck knows? But I just think I have a strong feeling with Doomsday, since we're getting Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, we're going to be getting her as Captain Carter, and then we're going to be getting
Chris
Chris
Evans is coming
Evans
back
as
in
like
some
Captain
form.
Hydra or Johnny Storm or
And
somebody else.
Anthony Mackie will be in that as well.
Yes,
So
he's going to be
Antonio is in the chat. He's saying he thinks Fantastic Four will make the most money. I don't know that I agree with that, to be perfectly honest. Again, we can't make any decisions until we see a trailer. We need a trailer. Just because we know it's packed with star power, that means nothing. We've been burned by Fantastic Four how many times already?
Right.
I refuse to get excited for Fantastic Four until I see a trailer.
Right. I wouldn't say I'm like, I mean, I'm curious. Again, that's the trailer is the thing. Obviously, the trailer doesn't totally make a movie, because could have an amazing trailer and then the movie sucks. So that's also the thing. But I want Fantastic Four to be good. This is like the fourth reboot, so it's just like, I want it to be good, but I not holding my breath. But that's it for MCU Weekly. Thanks for watching. But today, last but not least, we look ahead to 2 animal films that involve animated characters that are supposed to be in a live action world. So, first thing, we have Mufasa, the Lion King. It appeared like that embargo I don't know if it was an embargo, but there was a lot of, we did talk about this, I think, last week, where a bunch of reviews came out saying it was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. It looks amazing. The critic score doesn't reflect that, but apparently there was a ton of people that were like, but to be fair, it's at 59, which is 1 point away from being fresh. So like, it's pretty much on the cusp of being fresh. A lot of people said that it's better than the first one. It does. That's like interesting. It pulls a Godfather Part 2 thing where it's both a sequel and a prequel, which I hate making that comparison.
Well,
but
again, it's a completely original story. No one has any idea what the direction of this the relationship with Mufasa and Scar turns out to be. So I think in that regard, people are excited about it. The visuals look just as on par with the first one. But again, to your point, you hated the shot for shot scenes, which I loved. So I think that's probably helping the film as well, because again, it's completely original, so everything's a surprise.
It's just like, I just think it's so dumb how it's like, oh, Mufasa was adopted this whole time. It's like, yeah. What are you trying to retroactively make Scar the good guy? Because he would be if that was the case.
That's been the trend, though, right? That's been the trend with Disney movies. Is all of a sudden now all the villains have to be relatable, and all of the villains you have to have sympathy for them. I mean, Cruella, Maleficent. That's their MO. That the villains can't truly be villains, and it's like,
I just hate that.
Fucking break.
Like, oh, Thanos had a point. No, he didn't. Shut the fuck up.
I know. I get it.
It's just like, I just can't get over that. Like, don't even compare.
Yeah, how dare you?
Anyway, but I'm just like, I'm not gonna. I don't like any of these live action remakes. They all look terrible. Snow White looks terrible. Lilo and Stitch looks terrible. Moana looks terrible.
Looks horrible.
It looks so bad. Like, all of them look bad. And I hope that this really starts a downward. I mean, Little Mermaid barely made its money back, so hopefully that starts a downward spiral.
But
and to be fair, it didn't look very good. I make the joke, it's like, you don't want to see Little Mermaid because you're racist. I don't want to see Little Mermaid because it's a shitty cash grab. We're not the same.
I enjoyed it, I'll say.
But yeah, this it's live action, even though it's not really live action.
Dolph Lundgren was a fucking man-mate, like man. What do we call them? Mermaids, merman. He was a merman. Who saw that coming? It's pretty sweet.
But yeah, Mufasa the Lion King. To me, it looks like dog shit.
Or was that an Aquaman? Is that what I'm thinking?
That was an Aquaman.
That was an Aquaman. Then never mind. Completely different thing. Regardless,
I think you're thinking of Javier Bardem. He was
Javier Bardem was in Little Mermaid as well.
Very easy to, mix
not
up
at all.
Dolph
Actually,
Lundgren and Javier Bardem.
On my side,
both muscular men. That's about it.
I apologize for wasting everyone's time there. Anyway.
But I was like, why did we start talking about Aquaman? But I just let you fucking go, man.
I appreciate that, but it is what it
is. But yeah, Mufasa the Lion King, that's going to be coming out in, Christmas. Now it's 2 days. Because it's the 18th over here on the East Coast now. But yeah, it seems like they're gonna be. Oh God, I don't get. Like, look at that CGI. It looks so.
What are we predicting? I would love to see Sonic spank Mufasa, but I don't. I think Disney can't be stopped. I think the Disney machine is going to keep rolling. I think Mufasa is going to kill it at the box office, and which is a shame. I know I personally am more excited for Sonic. Sonic's going to be badass. It's going to be so good.
I have a theory that it's going to be a quote unquote win-win situation for both companies.
I hope so.
I think Sonic will win domestically, but Lion King will win internationally.
That's fair.
Because remember, for the Lion King live action remake, the predecessor or whatever it is, the previous film, Lion King 2019, that movie internationally alone got $1.1 billion.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm clarifying, but I'm just saying, like, I'm fucking clarifying. So I think, internationally it'll get fucking tons because apparently, internationally they love the Lion King. I don't know, but I think Sonic will definitely take it.
I'm certainly looking forward to that over Mufasa. That's for sure.
Yeah, you have Keanu.
I will say, my local AMC, my movie theater is shitting themselves. They've already predicted 40,000 people will walk through their doors next week. So they're all having a panic attack right now. So I'm just going to say to the moviegoers out there, be respectful, throw out your fucking trash. Don't be a piece of shit. Don't be an asshole. Don't talk. Don't be on your phone. Silence your fucking phone. Get there on time. Sit in the seat that you're assigned. Please, for the love of God, make the movie go.
We all know that
for all. This isn't your fucking living room, people. It's a public movie theater. I'm just saying, I have to put it out there because the disrespect for my poor AMCers. It's
also to answer the question, yes, I do think 2 Jim Carreys are better than 1, and I'm saying that as not a Jim Carrey fan. So, I like how they're doing.
Okay, I'm not going to get
Sonic Adventure 2, but they're not like, it's not verbatim. They're still kind of doing their own thing, and looks great. Colleen O'Shaughnessy, Ben Schwartz, Idris Elba, Keanu, Jim Carrey, the guy whoever plays Stone. I don't know his name. I don't know the actor's name. They're all great. This franchise, this movie should have never been a franchise with like that first trailer with Ugly Sonic, but like it became beloved, and it's now just, oh God, what is that? Gross, James Marsden. But if James Marsden dies, this is definitely going to be the best Sonic. But
yeah, I don't think that's happening.
One can only hope. That's the dream. Anyway, but I'm super stoked for Sonic. Like it's such a major, at least with the Glicked, I was like, okay, both movies, good. Like I had no expectations for Wicked, but I'm like, oh, both are good movies. This, I'm like, Sonic all the way. Fuck Mufasa. Fuck Disney. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
But that, yeah, fuck James Marsden. Anywho, but Sonic, we're both excited. We hope it like just crushes everything. Yes, unfortunately. Anyway, Sonic 3, go see it. See it 10 times in the theater. Make sure it
Yeah, you're gonna
buries
want to.
Mufasa. Come on, guys. Yeah, fuck James Marsden. I'm not going to get into it here because it's too controversial for the show.
He
Look it up.
tried fucking up X-Men, so you know what? Not a fan anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
anywho, that's not the reason I hate him, but that's beside the point.
Who's
Anywho,
I like no TC24, whose hate is stronger, John for James or Liz for Princess Alana? I think it's still me. I think it's still me.
I don't know.
Can't stand that bitch. I hope
I haven't
I was
gone.
disappointed she didn't get killed in this in episode 3.
I haven't gone into my true unbridled hatred for James Marsden because he's worse, because he's real and what he did was horrible. So, but we're not going to get into that because it's like it's not good for the show. So we still have a little bit more. We have fan comments, guys. Fan comments. We're bringing it back. Dan decided to not be lazy and actually make, proper banners for,
Damn, shots fired.
Decided to make actual banners. So this one is coming from Adam W116, who's not a regular, but he said, I would love to get the original, 1978 teaser poster. He was talking about the poster and, his history with the character. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But yeah, I you'll believe in Lanka Fly. You have the kind of look up thing, which is very similar vibe. I almost wish I could go back in time a year before the movie came out, ever seeing those posters and before and see them for the first time again. As a kid again, maybe stick around till 78, all that. I was almost transported back to 78 watching it as a kid on the big screen in Brooklyn. I'm in my 50s now, and I wouldn't take back memories like that. So essentially just talking about his, memories of being a kid back in 78 and just loving this character, loving, the poster and what this poster means versus the older one, since this one references the older poster. And it's very nice to see Adam W. Just try to keep this on as much as possible because I can't read all that. We got to get through as many as we can, but keep it on screen because it deserves to be read, his history with the character. So Adam, we love and appreciate you. We love and appreciate your love for Superman. We're glad that you can share this experience with us. Thank you very much. We hope that you become an Oh So Curious regular because we'd love to see more of you. But I don't know where you are, maybe across the pond, maybe in another time zone. But thank you for your sharing your experience. We love to see it. Yeah, and thank you very much. This is just great to see. Like I love because it's just like the most I can get from that is like my dad being whenever there's like a re-release for a movie or talking about, he's like, yeah, I remember going to see that back in like 1979, like when we went to go see Alien together earlier this year for the re-release for the 45th. Was it the 45th, the 50th for 55th? I don't remember I think it's 45th.
I think 45th. I think it's
45th and re-release, and there was like a thing between Ridley Scott and Fede Alvarez because Alien Romulus was coming out. But that was like, oh god, that was just so great to see on the big screen, just such an exemplary film. And he was like, yeah, I took my buddy when we went to go see it in 1979, and it was then we were just like, wow, we're just blown away. So we love and appreciate people sharing their stories.
Absolutely.
So this is the next one by Halo Baby or BB or 6151. In the live earlier, I said I thought that WBD would hire Naughty Dog to make all their DC studio games. The chat from the mod, hello, for Curious Channel said, ew, Naughty Dog. I would like to know why they said ew, as I am starting to think that it's because Naughty Dog is accused of being woke, and I do not want to think bad of this channel's comment. Please, I may have to leave if I believe this. Lenny. Lenny, is this you or I'm confused? Anyway, but yeah, Naughty Dog. No, it's just Naughty Dog just makes terrible games. Like, what happened was it was just like the cancerous of Neil Druckmann. He he went on like a power trip with Last of Us Part 2, and all of the people who made like the really good games and the really good like programmers eventually there was essentially a mass exodus from Naughty Dog because Druckmann was so toxic, and now they've just been pumping terrible game after terrible game. And so that's what and Naughty Dog has just been like kowtowing to him, and it's just like even though he's inherently a very toxic individual, so that's the thing I don't like, and they just don't make good games anymore. So I would say avoid Naughty Dog. I don't give a fuck about the woke thing. I mean, it's a little annoying, but like it's just I just think Druckmann is a toxic person, and he essentially caused all these amazing talented people to leave the company because of his toxicity and terrible workplace environments. So that's why I don't like him. So, and don't like Naughty Dog because they essentially condone that by, keeping him employed and not caring when all these other people left. So, why do I care? Okay, please no. But that's it's not because of like surface level like that. It's just like the toxicity of certain individuals. Essentially, is why I said ew, Naughty Dog.
You still have to answer Ron's question.
John, remember when you laughed at me when I said the trailer? I didn't laugh. I just said it probably wouldn't be the case, but it seems like it is.
I said the same thing. I said there was no way.
I was like, it's not enough. It's not enough.
Yeah. But apparently it is.
Because I'm like, it just makes sense that the first trailer would have been at the Super Bowl. Like, I'm like, that just makes too much sense. So,
well, again, this is the teaser, so we might get the full trailer at the Super Bowl. That would make tons of sense there. But you still need to answer Ron's question. We all need an answer from you.
But yeah, no. But we were wrong. We will eat crow when the fucking trailer comes out on Thursday, and we will be talking about it. So we're going to be talking about it along with the
time.
Me and Dan are going to be at least talking about it on Thursday. I don't think you'll be joining us. I think you're busy that day, right, Liz?
That day, correct? Yes.
Okay, so unfortunately,
real job.
Yeah, real job where you make real money. Yeah, but yes, don't worry. We're going to be talking about the trailer. We're going to be talking about Creature Commando. So just sit tight. We're going to be doing all that. Just we're not apologizing to Caleb. So
answer Ron's question, John. Answer Ron's question.
What's Ron's question? Ron, what did you? No, I'm not answering your fucked up question.
I answered it. Answer the question. There's only one obvious answer, to be fair.
I mean, Venom only if he's slobbering that knob out. I don't want to be kissing that shit. Like, if it's below the waist, then sure. But if it's that's just too much. That's
I wasn't getting into specifics, but you know what? Same.
Believe in the knob. Thanks, Dan. But yeah, hole's a hole. When there's a hole, there's a goal. But yeah, just like make sure to like keep those teeth far away. That's the only thing. But anyway, so let's go on to the next thing. Long live the bulge. Thanks, Marco. Momoa was interviewed in Japan recently and was asked about working for Marvel. He said he was busy with a job at DC. Enough said. And I really liked the guy's username, the main man 2025. Because that's like the big rumor that Jason Momoa is going to play Lobo, because there's the rumor that he's going to appear in Supergirl. Grain of salt, yes, but like if he's saying he's still at DC, probably not as Aquaman, I'd be open to it as long as he's Lobo. That would be awesome. Or a character close to that. That's James Gunn's burner account. Yeah. But yes, what are your thoughts on that? I know, because I know you're such a huge Aquaman fan, Liz, so I gotta know your thoughts.
But you know how I feel about loyalty, and if he's saying he's not going over to Marvel because he's still working with DC and they still have projects for him, they're still paying his bills, I respect it. I'm totally about it. I feel really weird when DC and Marvel actors switch around. So no, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And again, I've met him. He's a wonderful man. So do what you got to do, Jay. It's all good.
But yeah, so That was all of the, fan comments for, the last episode we did. So thank you for all those lovely comments. Thank you for everyone in the live chat for giving us lovely
and
comments.
it is live right now. Y'all are going off. It's great.
Yeah. But yeah, we have all the sorts of, we have Geek Informant, we have Try Not to Curse, we have Cool Kids, we have a whole bunch of stuff, talking stuff, and just all those things. Anyway, but we are reaching the end. We're at the end. This is the end. Today it ends, whatever all the things are. But thank you all for watching. Make sure to like. There's only 17 likes, although we do have more likes than viewers at this point. So I think people are finally starting to head to bed. But like and comment. Maybe we'll be featured in a future episode. Subscribe. And hit the notification bell if you want to know when we go live. Today was a little bit of later date, but that's okay. Later time, not date, but but thank you everyone for watching. Ron, Lenny, Antonio, TC24, Dark Elite Eric, Hunter Iggy, and I think JB was in it for a little bit. But thank you all for watching. I'm just trying to get everybody, so thank you all for watching. We love and appreciate all of you. Believe in the DCU. Yes, majorly believe in the DCU. But thanks all for watching. That is it for today. We will see you all tomorrow.